Welcome to Detroit Floor Fest, everybody. 2021 has been a test for all of us, maybe even more than 2020, perhaps. I find it a little bit hard to believe that I'm standing here with this illustrious group of industry leaders. John Warniak, friend of mine for a really long time. Matt Caldwell, Executive Director of Tread Lightly, organization that's just doing fantastic work all around the country to make sure that folks like us get to keep going off-road. Henry Payne, our esteemed automotive editor from the Detroit News and host of Car Radio, super good guy. Glenn Fraley from, from Magna joining us. What a great guy to have on our panel. They've been a big part of this park from the start. Mount Magna is named after him, and frankly, we probably have Glenn and his team to thank for that, largely. Michael Seid, ready to go from Rancho. Super glad to have Rancho here joining us. Fantastic time to have him here. A guy that I've looked up to for a long time, Dave Cole, created King of Hammers. For anybody that's been around the off-road space, you know what King of Hammers is, you know what's up. It's an honor to have you here, Dave. Fantastic. Gian Cadiz, Ford Motor Company. I don't want to exaggerate your title like I did the other day. Director of Communications for the entire Earth, or something to that effect. Gian is the guy at Ford, and frankly, has been a huge supporter of the Hollyoaks ORV Park and a huge supporter of Detroit Floor Fest and everything that we do. We're very grateful to work with Ford on all the projects that we have. Because this is about them, I'm setting down the mic, and I'm going to let John Warniak take over and let these guys go. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Z-Man, and I'll echo what Z-Man said. Thank you all for being here. This is what, the 5th year, Z-Man? Third year for Detroit Floor Fest. And fantastic. So it's great, and we're going to talk about a lot of wide-ranging things here. We're going to talk about the technology in off-road racing and performance. We're going to talk about the marketing trends in off-road racing performance, as well as the lifestyles. A lot of things that the folks that you see here with families, and the big impact that that's having on disruption of the industry, the certain things that people want in a vehicle, where do they get it? So we're going to talk about a lot of that, and where the action is taking place. I like to call that the Gemba, which is a Japanese term for basically going to the front lines. It's where the action is taking place. And that's why you see these great sponsors like Magna and Rancho and certainly Jeep and Bronco here with Ford. They're going to the place where the action is, and that's what we want to talk about. We want to bring you these rock stars that we have here today from the industry and all facets of the industry. So what we're going to do is kind of go through just a 2 to 3 minute introduction of each of them, let you know who they are, where they're from, and some of the key points that we want to bring up in our discussion. And this is going to be a very open, interactive type discussion. We're going to, again, talk about a wide range of things. And then we want to hear some of the things that they want to bring up and talk to each other about what they're doing in each of their organizations. So let's start with you, Matt Caldwell from Tread Lightly.
I'm Matt Caldwell, Executive Director of Tread Lightly. Tread Lightly is a national nonprofit that's focused on trail access for off-roading. Everything from full-size four-wheel drives, UTVs, single track. If you need trail access on public land to go enjoy your activities, we are there to help protect and support that for many years and generations to come. We are based in Utah. We are currently expanding our team and starting to stretch our team across the country and regionalize our team. I've just relocated to Arizona. We have new team members in Washington State as well as the Carolinas. And our two big things that we do are education and stewardship programs. And this year, I'm happy to tell you we're going to complete 50 stewardship projects in 2021. Biggest year that we've had for stewardship projects to keep trails open.
Thank you, Matt. Henry.
I'm Henry Payne, auto columnist for the Detroit News. Cover product for the news and getting a lot of product. Drive a lot of Fords that Gian's been pushing these days. I'm also a lifelong auto racer, race Porsches, and currently race Lolas and SCCA racing, and it's cool to see how the manufacturers dovetail racing with production, how much they learn from racing both on track and off road. I mean, it's cool for me, an on track guy who's raced all over the country from Watkins Glen to Daytona, to learn this off-road world. And off-road is so big now in the auto industry. You see the Wrangler lineup, you see Bronco joining that. This is a neat battlefield out here between Bronco and Wrangler. And to have an off-road park available now, 200 acres out here for folks to bring out their Broncos and Wranglers and really understand the capability of these vehicles, as well as Raptors and ZR2s and all the other extremely capable off-road stuff. Just like on-road over the years where we've driven Corvettes and Porsches on track and learned the capabilities here, you can really come out to an ORV park like this and understand the envelope of how good these production vehicles are. So great panel, John. Great to be a part of it.
Good. Glad you could join us, Henry. Glenn.
All right, Glenn Fraley. I'm Director of Engineering for Driveline Systems Group at Magna, and certainly you can see Mount Magna. We were on board from the beginning. What a great place to demonstrate our product and the capability of our product. We make four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive systems for many OEs. And I've been doing this for 31 years. I love off-roading. It's certainly a great passion, and it's great that we come out and train our employees, demonstrate to our customers and our end customers. You see a lot of Jeeps running around here, and GMCs and Gladiators, and then all these people who have these products and bought them in Oakland County now can come right out and drive them right in their own backyard. So thanks for having me. Look forward to the panel discussion.
Thanks, Glenn. Mike or Michael? How are we going to go?
You can call me Mike.
Mike.
Mike's the mic in my hand here. Hey, I'm Mike Sipe. I am the brand manager for Rancho Suspension. Been in the automotive business for, I guess, 22 years now. Unbelievable how time flies. With Rancho Suspension for right around 10, 11 years. Lead engineer, moved into marketing. Not sure how that happened, but here I am now acting as the brand manager, learning as I go. Big shoes to fill, 66-year-old brand, Rancho Suspension. Been around, I think everybody, if you don't know Rancho, where have you been? Because it's a brand that's been around forever. Started out in Southern California, and it's ran basically all over the U.S. now from different home headquarters and whatnot. So I'm excited to be here. This is my home state. I'm from Michigan, and unfortunately, just because of time travel all the time, this is my first time to Holly, so it's kind of weird for me. I'll be back here for sure, and I'm just excited to talk to everybody today.
Excellent. Glad to have you and Rancho here, Mike. Thank you. Next up, Dave Cole, King of the Hammers.
My name is Dave. Started King of the Hammers 16 years ago. We have Ultra 4 Racing. It's in, I guess, 11 races in North America and 5 races in Europe. We're in Australia and New Zealand now, and we had a race in South Africa this year that I didn't get to go to, unfortunately, but someday I'll get down there. This is a cool place, and I'm very thankful to be here. And I've known some of these guys for a while, and it's great to meet new people. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to be face-to-face the first time, and particularly being outdoors in a safe environment. So good. Glad to have you here, Dave. Gian.
Hey, thanks for having me. Gian Cadiz here, Pleasant Ridge, Michigan. Local guy. I've been living in Southeast Michigan my whole life. And one of the things that I love about this place, we start with Holly Oaks. It's nice to have this in your backyard. It's something, from an industry standpoint, we always talk about, we have to go out west, we need to do this, do that, and here we have something that we can do. And we're here all the time, as Tom Z knows, we're here all the time from a Ford standpoint because we love it. Our teams love it, our staff loves it, and for me, I've been off-roading since, I don't know, long time ago. My wife and I, we've been at it since we were kids, and Jeep's in the blood, even though I work for Ford, and Bronco is everything to me. We started with Jeep. I started Jeep Communications internationally in my career. Launched the original JK overseas, and so Jeep's in my blood. But Bronco, having the opportunity to have a Ford knock on your door and say, hey, you know what, we want you to come over and run truck communications. And then as I come to learn when they brought me over in 2016, hey, just so you know, Bronco, we're going to do Bronco. We want to know what you think. What would it be like for you if we were going to give the Bronco an all-new chassis, all-new design that goes back to the original roots? Really clever in how we're approaching this from a customer perspective. What do you think? And, it's been an amazing journey among all the other vehicles that I get to do. At the same time, I lead all SUVs on the communication side for Ford. And, you know, while we see a lot of Broncos, Wranglers, and other things here today, you know, there's no doubt Ford is definitely amping it up with respect to off-road capability, even on Expedition. Earlier this week at Motorbella, we debuted the Expedition Timberline, increased capability, increased ride height, all-terrain tires, all these things. So, you know, maybe the Bronco isn't for you, but, you know, you got to take your family and you want to do this stuff on the weekend. You know, there is no doubt, again, Holly's great to have. There's a lot of other parks like this around the country, and we want to make sure that people get out and enjoy it. So, and then also thanks to Tread Lightly for, you know, keeping stuff like this up for all of us.
Absolutely, that's stewardship, and we're going to talk about that. Well, thank you, Gianna. Thank you all for being here. We're going to jump right in with some of the things. One of the research documents I remember going through about 6 months ago for truck folks. How many folks out here have a truck? Raise your hand. Only about 20% of the folks here. But 67% of new vehicles sold are trucks. That's amazing. 2/3 becoming truck owners. And truck owners are very different. Some of the things the research said was they like to break the rules, if not follow the rules. They don't want to follow the rules. 25% name their truck. How many of you folks name your car or your truck? Jeep. Exactly. So there's an emotional connection with a lot of truck owners. And again, I think a part of that is because you can customize it with so many. Part of the SEMA market, about 27% of SEMA sales are with trucks, particularly wheels and tires, suspension. You see the lift kits, things like that here. So 27%, which is about 12 billion of the aftermarket, and that's about the size of motorsports in its entirety. So that's pretty big, and that's changing all the year because of the marketing and the lifestyle trends. So we're going to start with you, Gian. What are some of the biggest trends you're seeing? We can be real fast answers if you like, but I want each of you to kind of react to what Gian says, and if you got additional comments or background, reinforce it or say it.
You know, one thing that I can definitely comment with trends is we see at a 4.5% growth rate each year is the outdoor industry, 900 billion annually here in the United States, and it's growing fast. And it's, you know, obviously COVID has a lot to do with accelerating it. And what are we doing, right? You look at, we've got rid of sedans, we're focusing on SUVs and trucks. We know that there's a lot more latitude in what we can do with our product offering and product portfolio to more than just the kind of the mainstream offering we have. We got to continue to differentiate. We want to make these more aspirational because our customers are becoming younger, and their aspirations of what they want to do are broader than ever. So there's no doubt there's a lot more. You'll see, you know, my point about the Bronco brand or Expedition Timberline, Explorer Timberline are great examples of that. On the F-150 side, yeah, maybe you don't need a Raptor, F-150 Tremor, even Maverick, you know, is coming into the fold. So there's a lot of opportunity. You know, obviously Ford's, like every business would say, perfectly positioned. We're more than perfectly positioned for this, and we're ready to grow with it.
That's good. With seven, how many different models of the Bronco are there?
We've got seven on the main series. More to come. I think you guys saw Bronco Raptor. We're excited. 2022, a new level in off-road that's coming that this landscape hasn't seen yet. So way more to go. And obviously Bronco Sport dominating. It's, you know, its sales combined of its two closest competitors. You add those two up, and you're still not a Bronco Sport. So we're loving Bronco Sport as well.
Excellent.
I think one of the trends that nobody saw coming, to be honest with you, was this adventure, right? COVID brought on adventure, and you know, we jumped right into it head first. Your adventure starts here, and we're strap on kits to whatever you want, and we're going to get you out there. But regardless of the branding and all that, COVID taught us that people want to be outside. They've got to be outside. I mean, go and try and buy an RV right now. Good luck, right? And or UTV or a Jeep. You know, we know we have semiconductor issues right now, but or a Bronco. You know, it's adventure is where it's at right now, and I think if you're not on board, you should be, because that train's going right now, and that brings up topics like land use, you know, and stuff like that. But we can get into that later.
Yeah, ATV side by sides up 30%.
That was going to be my point, is that actually makes the most important person here, Matt, because there used to be a barrier to entry to be off-road. You had to have paid your price, paid your dues. If you had a vehicle, you could get to the parking lot like this, which we're going out there because most people didn't have vehicles to even do that. And now you can go to 7-Eleven and buy a vehicle that can do that. Not offense, no offense to the park, but OHVs, you can get them anywhere now, and the barrier to entry is less, which means they haven't paid their dues, they haven't learned the lessons, they don't know about tread lightly, they don't know about picking up the trash, taking care of the trails, staying on the trail. And those are the things that are our biggest risk. I mean, when we started King of the Hammers, we were in a period where we were under a lot of attack about trails closing. We didn't do that. The industry and getting the industry more involved has helped reverse some of that trend. There's a lot more private parks, there's places like this. But with that new influx of people, if you don't educate and don't indoctrinate how the best way to take care of the land, then we're going to end up in the exact same boat we were 10 years ago, but instead of losing a little bit, we're going to lose everything. So, and I'm not being a doomsayer, we're in a great place. This is an amazing time. But we need to be aware of what the outcome is. If you get a whole bunch of new people, you want them to be able to respect the land as well.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
And that stewardship, I want to talk about that, Matt.
Yes, sir.
What you're doing.
Yeah, I was going to chime into what David said. I mean, you start looking at the number in the UTV segment. In Utah alone, there's 220,000 registered UTVs. That's one state. And we have in Utah both trail access, but we have street legal. And that starts to create even another set of interesting topics. But stewardship, we talked about, I was going to bring up overlanding too. Overlanding has created an almost new segment in the world that we play in, but it's created challenges from a stewardship standpoint as well. The goal almost a lot of times with overlanding is to get to that spot that nobody else has gotten to. The challenge is, what does that do to the environment getting there, whether that's off-trail excursions. We're getting into habitats that might never have been disturbed, and now they're being disturbed. So that's where the stuff that Tread Lightly does is so important. The stewardship efforts that we do to keep trail systems open, keep trail systems clean, and hopefully the educational components that are to be responsible and respectful while we're on the trail. Everybody has the right to be out on the trails. We all have different activities that we want to do while we're out there. But when we start not being responsible, it's going to ruin it for everybody. And with the influx of users, the pressure is on everywhere. Whether that's in New England, it's in Florida, it's California. We're experiencing it everywhere. And so I appreciate all the comments related to the work that we're trying to do.
And Matt, you and I have talked a lot about this, and I'm very heavily involved in the hunting and fishing industry as well. It's a hobby of mine, right? So collectively, we've got segments, UTV, we got e-bike coming, that's the hot thing, dirt bikes. We've all got to join arm in arm together and work together. And that, to me, I'm passionate about that. If we don't do that and work as a group together, we're going to be fighting each other, and then they're just going to shut it all down. I mean, that's very black and white, but at the same time, it's still so important that we get together and figure this out. And I keep leaning on Matt, like, hey, come up with something where we can all play together and do some stuff out there to keep land use open, because it's our land. We pay the taxes for it. It's ours.
Absolutely, and sharing it and making it sustainable for the next generation, for all of us now. One of my great philosophers was Yogi Berra. He said, if people don't want to work together, no one's going to stop them. So the point is, you got to find ways to work together. We're going to switch it up here and talk
John,
a little bit.
let me just
go for it, Henry.
just to kind of wrap this discussion up in a bow. The way you get to off-road is in off-road vehicles, and I think the big product trend that's driving people out to parks like this with their bikes, with their ATVs, are pickups and SUVs. I mean, we all in the industry kind of looked at FCA a little cross-eyed when they said, we're getting out of sedans. We're eliminating all our sedan segments. We're going totally into SUVs. The demand was that strong for SUVs. You see Ford following in that direction. You see whole off-road brands growing up, like Bronco following Jeep, like in Subaru. Subaru is developing an off-road brand. All these are SUVs that you can not only commute to during the week, but you can come out here to a park and you can put bikes into pickup trucks. Hyundai just developed a small entry-level $20,000 pickup called the Hyundai Santa Cruz that you can throw bikes in and come out here. Totally new segment. Ford Maverick is in that segment as well. So you're seeing a breadth of SUV and truck product that you have never seen. That makes it easier for people to get out to parks like this.
Glenn, you want?
Well, yeah, so if you drive through anywhere near here, you find all these capable products, and people are just discovering you can actually flip that switch, get into 4 high or 4 low, and go out and use your vehicle. Not just to drag your dirt bike or whatever you like, but actually take that product on the road. And I think a lot of people are discovering that, and I'm glad to see it, and it's helping us evolve our product.
Yep. Something like 60 to 80%, Henry, you may know the number, of the innovation actually comes from the suppliers, like Rancho, Tenneco, Magna, etc., folks that we have here.
Yeah, I think Gianni could probably speak better to that because, the manufacturers are very careful about how much they publicize the suppliers. But clearly the suppliers are constantly throwing ideas at the manufacturers. In the off-road world, we saw that with Brembo brakes. Brembo became a household name because it was very aggressive in bringing race capable brakes onto sports cars for people to go on track. I think the same thing is happening now on road with suppliers coming in here and throwing very capable systems at these manufacturers that can take off-road.
When you say 60% is provided by the suppliers,
Yes.
I would have guessed like 10 years ago 90% was created in the garage, like somebody at home,
Good point. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then the suppliers caught up to that, like, oh, see that link kit that guy built for that car, we can build something like that and make it generally available. Cool. So then the suppliers caught up to 10 years ago. No offense, but that's 10 years. And then, but that's now the manufacturers are building cars that are incredibly capable out of the box, which never was the case. I mean,
Absolutely.
even a Jeep, you get a Jeep and be like, okay, cool, I can go to the parking lot.
Exactly.
And now you can get a Jeep that can go up hammer trails, up any trails in the world. Same with the Broncos. They're out of the box, they're excellent, and the suppliers then are now up-leveling that to places that are just, the concept that you can get a UTV that can do 110 miles an hour and drive up the side of a mountain, and you can buy that as a 16-year-old kid if you just had enough credit, is a little different. But it's also a pretty awesome time because I can drive the same thing, so it's cool.
It's a great time to be an automotive enthusiast and UTV enthusiast and just off-road enthusiast. I mean,
Yep. A couple of points I want to make, and we'll get to some of the technology next. Basically, I've always said, and this comes from Ralph Gills and great people, designers, that cars are works of art, they're works of power, they're works of action, and certainly fun, and those lifestyles of fun. And back in the 40s and 50s, the whole hot rod movement, if you will, started. That was an era, but more important, it was an attitude about performance. So we're seeing this movement now in off-road with a lot of the people migrating to off-road because it's fun. Whether it's a mountain bike, whether it's a side-by-side, a UTV, whether it's a vehicle, whether it is, they're sharing that land and coming out, and a lot of different footprints, if you will. What's the impact on the environment? And if you look at the investment, almost all the automakers are making today, I think today's dollars, $36 billion just in the next few years for EVs, electric vehicles, racing, and what's coming. The impact of that, from what I've understood through like McKinsey, is that it's a $1.3 trillion disruption to the suppliers, to the dealers, to the racing. So they're bringing that in. So we're going to start with you, Dave. What are you doing with electric vehicles? Are you creating a new class for EV racing?
Last year we had the first gentleman, Kyle Seglin, raced an EV car. It was a Toyota with a Nissan Leaf motor in it, which was again back to built in the garage. It's just a kid that had a great idea that wanted to try something, and he did it, and then he came out and proved that it worked. And we are opening up our entire we're opening up an entire EV class specific just that, and we're giving different opportunities to come in. You can come in a stock vehicle, a UTV, or an unlimited car. And we're building up to the point that you will be able to win $1 million if you win King of the Hammers in an EV car.
That's fantastic. You guys hear that? $1 million prize for the first EV that wins King of the Hammers.
I know what I'm doing after this.
Yeah, exactly. And again, with the great suppliers, I know Magna's got like an E-Crate package with the E-Axle.
Yeah, for sure. You see the disruption. You can't bet on every technology. Everybody seems to have a little different view. It's exciting to me that, it seems pretty much everybody has the same sort of powertrain layout right now. That's going to change. They're going to evolve, and they have their own directions, and a lot of people smarter than I am are trying to figure this out. And we're trying to figure it out as well. So yeah, the disruption's there. We're trying to produce product to be in that. I don't know if you've been out. I've been out in the PHEV on this course, and it's very, very capable. And it's exciting to me to see an electric motor is very, very capable in this sort of application. And what's it going to do for off-roading? It's going to be an exciting sort of product.
10 years ago, the guy that could TIG weld or bend tube or make up a suspension was the most popular kid in the class. The guy that can program controllers that make my back left tire spin backwards and my back right tire spins forward when I turn into a front burn, that's the guy that's going to be the most popular kid in the
Absolutely.
class.
The guy turns around
Yeah.
on that dime and
Yeah, we talked about this at Motorbella, that software is the new horsepower. When it comes to unleashing that, and basically, your semiconductors and your supercapacitors are your push to pass.
well, the interesting, the hardware's already there, right? The hardware
Sure
isn't really
is.
going to change. It's how do you use that and how do you best think that out and say, oh, this is what I want to do, and then the kid that figures out how to do that.
But John, I think also the off-road world and the on-track world also show the challenges to electrification. I mean, you go back through this industry, and racing and production have coexisted together. I mean, going all the way back to Henry Ford, who promoted his cars by racing out on down in Grosse Pointe. That is not there in electrics today. Electrics are not competitive in a racing series. You look at Formula E, for example, which is an international series, really pales next to IndyCar or Formula One. You come out here to the off-road, there's tremendous challenges to people with pure electric cars just to get out here. To get out here to do what you want to do off-road. You're in the pedal a lot, on the right pedal a lot when you're off-road. If you're in a gas vehicle, you just go out and gas it up. If you're an electric vehicle, that's a real challenge. I own a Tesla Model 3, one of the coolest cars I've ever owned, but road trips are a real challenge. And so I think that's, again, when you look at the performance aspect of this industry, whether it's coming off-road here or whether it's going on-track racing, I think it's going to make electrification better, but it also shows how good the gasoline engine is.
Absolutely, and lots of years left of internal gas combustion engines. In our lifetimes, they will still be around, definitely. So I think I would call this session WTF then. And that really does mean watts to freedom. So not the original WTF that we're thinking about. Let's kind of talk about some of the EV stuff. And Gian, Ford is, you guys got Pro Power, you've got the Mach-E. You guys know your stuff when it comes to electricity.
It's been exciting over the last, call it 24 months plus at Ford, right? More than $30 billion of investment in EVs alone. We know that, the appetite, even if it's not full EV, all the F-150 hybrid with the Pro Power on board, right? You guys are hearing stories of the generator in the hybrid truck saving the wedding, right? There's all sorts of, or because of the power outage with all the heavy storms we've had, how great that technology is. Arguably, it's going to take out the whole generator market, right? Who's going to need that anymore when your vehicle's putting it back in the grid or putting it back in the house? So that's one thing, but there's no doubt, right? We just started our prototype builds on the F-150 Lightning. We're guns blazing on that. More than 150,000 reservations. It's going to be great, and again, to our capability and things like this. F-150 Lightning, we make sure it's built for tough. We go through the same testing we would for any other F-150. So in time, yeah, you're going to see it out here, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and the 4xe that Jeep's got here, so it's happening. We've got an EV board with Dave Cole for King of the Hammers for the EV racing, and Dave kind of likens this with very similar to Bonneville.
It's too multiple, not just Bonneville. I think that the off-road cars are the hot rods of now. So, no one, they don't buy a Mach-E and go and do things to it except probably tires and wheels. They don't buy a new Mustang and upgrade them the same way. But you buy a Bronco and you make it yours, kind of like a Harley. You make it your identity. And so between the combinations, the customization that people have for their own vehicles, but also I guess the horizon or the opportunities that are out in front of us as far as performance, I don't think we even scratched the surface.
I agree. I call it the golden age of new performance.
Yeah.
We have again, it's like Bonneville back in 1964. So there's so much coming, and I think again from the suppliers and from the OEMs working together and collaborating of what does the consumer want in a vehicle, and again with the different variants of the vehicles, catering to those niches but there's so many different ways to get there. I know Ford just recently announced going to what Jim Farley calls a build-to-order model, kind of like what Dell started years ago. So I'll build your Bronco. What do you want on it?
And, real quick on that, I think it is, obviously with limited supply that we have across our dealers right now, and the opportunity that, as we go into vehicles that are more differentiated, our opportunity to do more personalization from the factory, it actually is a great time for this because, why not give the customer what they want? At the same time, Bronco's a great example. We've added all this modularity into the design, so we have plenty of latitude, plenty of opportunity to do other things than we've already currently seen with Bronco as time goes on here for the customer, and I think it's going to be great.
I agree.
And, John, I think it's going to be interesting too to see how folks out here react to, for example, the Jeep 4xe. That's a plug-in vehicle. It's not an all-electric vehicle, but you can reserve the 20 miles of electric. So you can drive out to this park on all gas. Then you can save the 20 miles of electric, and you can go grunt around here on these trails on pure electric. You talk to Roger Penske in motor racing, and what's the future of motor racing? He'll tell you it's hybrid. It's not electric. They've got the biggest entry in prototype racing till the 1960s. You got Porsche, Audi, all these manufacturers going into prototype racing, not pure electric but hybrid, because they see the electric motor as being a power complement to the gas engine. So I think it's going to be real interesting to see how the customer reacts out here. I think plug-ins are the future more for off-road than pure electric.
And there's an expense to getting there for sure. But, a hybrid has a bridge between gas and pure electric. And I thought the hybrids would be taking over, but we're not seeing that.
Well, I think fuel prices have helped that, and obviously those coming back up too are, you're going to start seeing more of that again, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think Dave Cole's counterpart here in Michigan is Professor Dave Cole, another Dave Cole. But he always said it's around $3 a gallon. When it's more than $3 a gallon, everything's going to be focused on electric. Less than $3, hey, I'm buying a gas car.
I hate to break it to you, but I've been over $3 a gallon since like 2001. So.
Oh yeah.
The left coast thinks
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, man, but I paid $5 a gallon recently.
Yeah, welcome to Michigan.
Yeah. Well, my wife puts race gas behind her ears. It burns, but it's... We won't go there, though. We won't go there.
So here's an incomplete thought for you, but because I'm listening to everybody talking, right? Get you off of your wife's perfume choices. So think about it. I mean, we're all probably around the same age, basically, give or take. And when we were growing up, off-road wasn't a thing. I mean, I grew up in Jersey, and the only thing I knew about off-road was the Ivan Stewart game. And I knew I didn't want to be on pavement, and I didn't know why. I just wanted to be there. So I figured it out, and I got where I got to, right? But if you figured there was, 5% of my friends that were in the same boat. Now, if everyone that is going to school now they're in an SUV, they're in a truck, they're exposed to this more. Now there's 20% of the kids that are exposed to it, 30%, 50%, whatever it is. We're only limited by our imagination and our talent anyway. So no offense, but if this was the 5% ended up here, and there's going to be 50%, there's going to be like seeding that going forward. In 30 years, there's going to be really smart people up here doing really cool things, and they're not going to be stuck with people like us.
The catalyst.
It's going to be awesome.
Here's the catalyst. Here's the movement.
Yeah, no, it's just going to be more talent, more imagination. With the OE's backing it, it's like the what's that tipping point kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, before it was just a desire to go places, and it was just a need. I have to get there, and you did it on your own, and it was really unpopular, and everybody looked at you like you were nuts, right?
Yeah.
But now you're making it cool, right? It's making it cool. So if that's cool now, then the level of talent, level of imagination, the level that we're going to have at our disposal in 10 years is going to miles away.
Good point.
Yeah, I grew up on the other end of that in rural Michigan with a lot of farmland and a lot of four-wheel drives, and exactly that. We had the land, we had the product, and we had a good time. Now, my dad would get a little upset that his snowmobile trail got all ripped up by a four-wheel drive product, and he wanted it a little smoother, but, we didn't quite have the same problem in, more metropolitan sort of areas. And I think you're right. I work with First Robotics and coach a team locally, and my girls, I'll tell you, are coming with more knowledge than I had graduating from college. And I'm going to be amazed at what they're able to do. It's absolutely going to be amazing who's sitting here, like you said, 20 years from now and how they grew up.
Well, and there's a downtrend. there was a trend down, right, over the last 25 years with people in trades as well. And then people are sitting behind a desk, if you like, everybody's thinking, don't get me wrong, but blue collar type people want to be out and about doing that stuff. About the school my sons go to today, welding, they have automotive programs, building trades, all that. Them kids are coming out being more conscious of what I'll call the blue collar trades now, and those are the type of people too that used to always tend to be in four-wheel drive trucks, doing four-wheel drive stuff, but now, as Dave pointed out, it's becoming trendy. 20%, whatever the number is, it's going to continue going up, right?
Absolutely,
So,
that cool factor.
yeah, the cool factor.
Yep, you bet. Yeah, I just saw statistics, I think, even this morning, I think it was, that 40% of men are no longer enrolling in college. So it's 60% women. So all these STEAM and STEM efforts, science, technology, engineering, math, and art, has really worked. First, robotics, big part of that. And women getting into racing. We had Beth Peretta on a session at Motorbella this past Tuesday, and we talked about the three biggest reasons you race. One is solve problems. Two is to demonstrate technology on the world stage. And third is to inspire the next generation. And she added, you need to aspire, just like you said, John, to a model, to something. You may never want to take that vehicle off-road authentically, but you know you have the capability to do that. So we're seeing a lot of women migrate to this. So with off-road, it's kind of like I mentioned earlier, the attitude as well. Some of us may have missed that muscle car era, if you will. I'll say early 60s, mid 60s. A lot of these young folks today, men and women, young guys and girls, don't want to miss the off-road movement. They want to be part of that. Like you said, Dave, Ivan the Iron Man Stewart, seeing that Molly with the red TRD type, red, orange, and yellow monogram on a vehicle, seeing it out at Baja, and King of the Hammers, and Mint, and Detroit 4 Fest, seeing that kind of stuff.
I mean, for us, 15 years ago, it was a diesel truck wars, right? Everyone had a diesel truck, wanted to hit 500 and 900 foot-pounds of torque, right? That was, big deal, right? A lot of them are driving Jeeps now, or they have families, a lot of those young guys. I was one of them, right? That's why I'm in this business. But we did stupid stuff with diesel trucks.
Yeah.
But I missed the muscle truck era, but definitely hit the diesel truck era. And it's still going. I mean, it's insane. But you guys know what I'm talking about, especially living in a rural area.
Yeah, we're going to see some coal rolling out here. I don't think Matt's going to allow that.
No, clean rolling.
Yeah,
if you're throwing that fuel out, you're not doing any good. So
clean rolling. So let's kind of circle back to you then, Gian. So why is it so important that you're here with Ford and Bronco today?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, there's no doubt that, this is in our backyard. Detroit, Metro Detroit, this is our hometown. Bronco is the hometown SUV, first and foremost, right? It's always been built at Michigan Assembly Plant. 55 years of greatness. It's back. We're here. There's no other place to be in this weekend than Detroit 4 Fest. So that's why we're here. We've got a lot of folks that are very excited to get their opportunity to drive Bronco. We have a Bronco experience here at the park. A lot of our reservation and order holders, this is their opportunity to come by, check it out in the right environment, right? They're not tearing up some farm field or something. We're actually getting to use the goat modes. Check out the 35-inch tires. We even have some with manuals here, right? Because there's a strong desire. It's almost 25% of our two-door build is manual transmission. So it's quite exciting to see that, see the folks and see their impressions when they finally get to drive the Bronco in a great testing environment. So that's one thing. At the same time, right, you want to be close to the customer. There's a lot of point about trends, seeing what else is happening, right? There's no doubt that rivalry is good. Let's start with that. Rivalry is great. I manage Mustang. I managed in the past Charger and Challenger. You need that rivalry with Bronco 2-door, Bronco 4-door, and the Wranglers. Like, it's great. The customer's winning at the end of the day. We're innovating the segment. We're pushing it further. You wouldn't have seen 35s in anything but a Bronco months ago, right? So this is really, really good. And things like Bronco Raptor that are coming are going to take the segment even further. Offer these new customers coming into the segment who want an SUV, something that, talk about turnkey capability. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, guys, that, lockers on the Rubicon was a big deal. You could make it up a hill when no one else could. And now it's, what's my stability control program in terrain mode doing? and I can do it so easily. So it's a great time to get into off-road, and we're glad to be here.
Well, and I love the point that Gian makes about comparing it to the muscle cars, because the Dodge, Camaro, Mustang wars clearly made all three of those brands better. And we've seen that over the decades, and you've already seen it now. Now that Wrangler, which has owned this world for the last couple of decades, now that you got Bronco, just this year, in response to Bronco, Wrangler came out with a 35 package immediately after the Sasquatch package. The Wrangler guys, the Jeep guys, talk to their customers. They want a V8 in the Wrangler, so now you got a 392. Guess what? Bronco's coming out with a Raptor that's going to have a big engine in it. So this competition is already creating improvements in both these brands. And as journalists, we love it. I mean, we got my buddy Brandon Turkis out there. We love the fact that now we have a competitor to Wrangler, and we can compare them and go to our customers and say, here's what one does well, here's what the other does well. It's a wonderful comparison to that muscle car segment that we've had since the 1960s.
And that rivalry raises the bar for everybody, and the consumer wins in the end. Because you get better product and you get something that matches your lifestyle much more. So Dave, why is it important for you and King of the Hammers to be here?
I was thinking about my answer. I mean, the funny answer is I came and sit between Gian and Mike, and that's why I came. It was worth the flight. Thank you very much.
That worked.
Get stuff done. Yeah, good to see you. No, but reality is, it is to collaborate. I mean, King of the Hammers only started because it was an evolution of rock crawling and desert racing, and I just thought it could be better and cooler, and we're just trying to make it better and cooler. But along the way, we've gone from, hey, Mike, will you give us $1,000 because we're cool, but just trust us, we're going to do something cool, it might be cool, to now I get to be involved in meetings where we're developing new products and making great new vehicles and being a part of making sure we're building the culture the correct way.
Exactly.
That's an incredible experience. And so, we all go away and do our things. You go make cars, go make things better, go make cool parts, write about it. Everybody does their thing, but when you can all get together and collaborate, you never know what's going to happen when you get a bunch of people that have the same desire or passion to go a different direction. You never know where you're going to end up at. It's pretty cool.
That's great, because the
different
solutions,
kind of adventure.
The solutions, the applications of the technology just get better when people work together. There's no doubt about that. Mike, why is it important that Rancho's here?
I would say for us, one, it's local for me, right? And Tom reached out. I'm like, I've heard Detroit 4 Fest. Let's get there this year. Let's make it happen. There's a lot of local clubs that we sponsor, Rancho sponsors, that's here today too, that are stewards of Tread Lightly. So I wanted to be here to support them as well. We'll be out on the trails with them all afternoon and tomorrow as well. The other thing is I don't get this opportunity very often to throw a customer in a vehicle when I'm talking about a product and jump out on the off-road course. I'm kind of letting it soak up some of the water out there first, but I mean, seriously, that's like the ability to do that and just jump out and say, come on, let's feel these progressive rate springs and let's go out and I can show you what D2 bushings do. So that's probably the other reason as well, obviously, the facility here.
Yeah, and definitely people love the dirt. I mean, not so much the mud, but the dirt definitely. And I think you're seeing the true enthusiasts out there today, definitely. Certainly tomorrow, which is a little bit nicer, but still, the mud won't stop a lot of them, for sure. Glenn. Yeah, exactly.
Well, as Tom said in the introduction, we've been behind this project since the beginning. What a great thing to have in our backyard. We're right down in Troy, Michigan. We can bring our employees out, our customers out, and try out our product and show them how capable that product you just drove off the showroom really is now. I think that's a lot of the discussion here too, is the capability of the product's come a long way. So, of course we'd be here. Why wouldn't we be here? We've been here since the beginning. We've got Mount Magna. We use this facility multiple times a year. It's really great to have, and glad I could be here and hear about the future of, except more aftermarket and the next generation of product. It's good to have that discussion with such smart people.
John, I think it's a great way to engage customers too. I mean, we have within these 3 weeks, you basically have 3 car shows that people can come see. You talked about Motorbella, which is 30 miles south of here. That's the Detroit Auto Show for this year, which used to be a static show at TCF Center, downtown Detroit. Now people can go out to Motorbella, they can get into Audi e-trons, they can get into Ram TRXs, they can get into Broncos and actually drive them at the show. and you're seeing Bronco and Wrangler out here. Customers can get in them. They can go out here in the natural habitat, see how they actually work. There's static display here too, but it's a way for customers to actually get into the vehicles. And then there's a third show that's going to be next week at M1 Concourse, the Speed Festival, which shows people will be able to get into high performance cars on track and really see what they're capable of. So I think what's wonderful about this world is it's much more interactive for the customer rather than the static auto shows that we've seen for the last few decades.
Very good point.
And for us being here, a lot of people might not know it's actually National Public Lands Day. So this is an important day for us and for the stewardship work that we do. Tread Lightly is actually at 4 different events today in 4 different states. But really the reason is to be out here with the people that benefit from the work that we do and hopefully talk them into becoming more engaged with us and what we're doing. Whether that's individuals, whether that's clubs like Mike referenced, whether that's Ford and the Bronco Wild Fund that supports Tread Lightly in our efforts. We like to be out and engage with the people that are benefiting from the work that we're doing and really encouraging them to do their part and become part of the work that we're doing.
That's great, and I think, again, that stewardship through Tread Lightly, and it goes back to the movement. I grew up with moto and kind of looking at it as that's what I always wanted to do, and I remember the big kind of catalyst, if you will, back in the day was the movie On Any Sunday. And I can remember them picking up the turtle. And that wasn't Malcolm Smith, but in my head it was Malcolm Smith, picking up the tortoise, moving it to the side. And it was people to protect the desert, right? And back then the racing was I don't think it was Johnson Valley, it was Barstow to Vegas, Carlsbad.
Barstow to Vegas.
Yeah.
And the Lake Elsinore Grand Prix, which is still going on as well.
Exactly.
Well, and it's funny you referenced that, and I appreciate what Dave said. There's a reason we're involved with Dave and with Ultra 4 and with King of the Hammers. I think some people have a different perception of off-roading, that it's, they're out in the desert, hurting the desert. The reality is a ton of the off-road community is doing really amazing work. Honestly, I think a lot of times the off-road community is too humble and doesn't talk about it enough. And that's really one of the things that we've tried to focus on lately. But, we're at Dave's event, helping people with education and understand, what stewardship looks like, what it looks like to be responsible when you're out off-roading. And it's a great connection for us with King of the Hammers.
Don't sell yourself short. You do the education, but this makes sound bad because I didn't hear this number until a little earlier, but Matt and Tread Lightly pull out 4,000 pounds of trash a day at King of the Hammers. Now, we would get that too. We didn't leave the trash on the ground before Matt came, but I can tell you we were out there for 3 or 4 weeks after King of the Hammers 2 years ago, and now we're out of there in a week. And it's because of partnerships. It's also because of education. The fans, I'm incredibly proud of the fact that for having 70,000 people in the middle of the desert for 10 days, it ends up looking better than when we got there. And that's thanks to you guys. So, cheers.
And that's the, I'll call it maybe the benefit back to society, because a lot of people are very concerned about the environment, climate change and environmental concerns, particularly the younger folks, and they want to see that. They want to see that commitment in the brands that they will support.
I've been saying this for 3 years. I believe that before I'm gone, someone's going to eventually be able to say something along the lines of, you can't burn fossil fuels on public land. That's something that's going to happen in 20 years, right? Absolutely. If California's talking about not being able to buy a gas vehicle, then when are they going to say, and I live in California, when is it going to be, okay, cool, you can't drive your gas vehicle here either. So, I mean, my stupid goal with racing EV cars is EV cars are cool and we need to race them. We need these guys to have a place to show their vehicles. I want Ultra 4 to be an off-road racing series globally that is carbon neutral. And I don't know how to get there. I don't think anybody knows how to get there yet, but I want to be there. And so, I don't know, I think that we all need to evolve that way. You're doing e-axle stuff. I mean, we need to evolve.
Exactly, and I think you said before, 8 people trying to change the world every month when you get together, right? But you look back 50 years ago, that's kind of stuff that took place in Bonneville. Wally Parks putting together the NHRA, SEMA coming out of it. I mean, if you haven't been to SEMA lately, it's 22 miles of everything you don't need, but all the stuff you want. So And that's what we're talking about with this movement here.
I wouldn't sell a V8 short though. I mean, there's a Gladiator right over there that's made by American Most Wanted. It has an 850 horsepower Dodge Demon engine in it. I guarantee you get out on this course in this mud, and that V8 will get you out of any problem.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. And with extreme heat,
drive 850 horsepower gets me into a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's the right foot, Glenn. That's going to get you
It
in
could
trouble.
create problems of its own.
But when you think about that, again, all the things that are happening in the industry and those types of trends, they want the electricity, but they want the experience more important than anything else. And, with some of that, kind of as we kind of draw this to the end, and this will be kind of the lightning round question for each of you. If Henry Ford were in the audience, just came back from Grosse Pointe in his race, was here, Henry. If Jim Farley was here in the audience. If Ivan the Iron Man Stewart was here, Dave. Or Don Walker from Magna, ex-CEO. What would they want to hear and say, what's the single most important thing that they should take away from Detroit 4 Fest today and our discussion that we've had here up on stage? So we're going to start with you, Matt.
For me, it's stewardship is a responsibility of everybody. Somebody used a phrase earlier about it's public lands and we own the land. One of the things I like to say, there was an ad campaign from years ago that membership has its privileges. I like to say ownership has its responsibility. And we all have a responsibility to the public lands that we use to recreate on. And everything that anybody can do in the industry to continue to support that message so that we can use all of the amazing technology that's being developed is really the key.
Excellent. So that's stewardship, alive and well. Is it alive with the young kids?
It's really interesting. There's some areas where it's really prominent and people are very engaged. One of the things we do have our youth programs that strive to teach that. And in some cases we see that kids are really the influence on their parents, like, hey, Dad, you really shouldn't be doing that. So that's exciting, and we need to continue to foster that generation.
Excellent, good. Henry?
Yeah, I mean, Henry Ford would probably be amazed at how far the SUV has come, right? Gian, I mean, the original Model Ts kind of rode about 8 inches off the ground like these Broncos and Wranglers. It's just incredible, the capability of vehicles and how technology continues to drive technology. I mean, you can go out here and climb obstacles that you can't believe you can do, thanks to things like locking differentials, transfer cases, V8 engines, 400 horsepower V8 engines. You can go back. I was down at Lost Corvettes yesterday down at Motorbella, and there was a 1973 Corvettes down there, Stingrays, that have 300 horsepower. And you got 400 horsepower now in Jeeps and Broncos, coming Broncos that you can take out here. I mean, the technology and the capability and the safety that comes with it is truly extraordinary, that a regular customer can go out on a course like this and navigate these kind of obstacles. It's wonderful to see.
That's a good point, the safety that goes along with those technology applications. Dave was saying he was bombing around in a Hummer EV yesterday or last night. Did you do the crab walk? Was it?
I wasn't yet. No, I wasn't doing it.
No, I said Dave. No, I was probably looking at Dave and I said Gian. So Gian was definitely not in the Hummer doing that. That was Dave.
No, but one of our old racers is his engineer with Chevy, and
yes.
I got to have a beer with him last night, and then I got to ride in his hot rod. And
I forgot about that.
EV cars in general were awesome. I mean, it's just that what he said yesterday, the power to rearrange your organs inside your body on acceleration is pretty awesome.
But you didn't pick up Gian in the Hummer, right?
No, but we're gonna hang out tonight. It's okay.
That's cool. Glenn, most important thing to take away from today?
So as you mentioned, Magna, Frank Stronach started with a better product at a better price. You brought in Don Walker, and he was world-class manufacturing. I think you take a lot of time to reflect today. Our new CEO is Swami Tapotagiri. He came from the Chief Technology Officer. What a great time for the Chief Technology Officer to become CEO. And we're very interested in the products that are going to drive the future. Like I said, we can't guess or predict the future, but if he were here right now, he'd be looking for some clues as to where it's going to go. So
you know, with all this disruption, you can't pick the winners with everything going on, but you certainly can create opportunities where
We're all
these
winning.
winners can emerge.
We're all winning.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
can all win. There's plenty,
We did pick the
plenty of
winners
room
for here.
everybody.
Mike, most important thing today.
So I'm sitting here thinking, and you know, thinking about old timers and OGs, you know, original gangsters that we met in the off-road industry, and you know, I think of Rod Hall. So I met Rod out at the Mesa Proving Grounds when it was still in Arizona. He had come out there; they were tuning the heck out of these H2 vehicles, just trying to blast these things and try to make them even more capable. And I could, if Rod was here, I'd walk him up to our Gladiator and go, "Here, Rod, here's where you want it to be." Or I'd take him up to a Bronco and go, see what you pushed, right? You were pushing the envelope on those old vehicles. And look, you set the precedent here. And Rod was crazy wild man. He was fun to meet and had great conversation. I was in my mid-20s at that time. So it was 20 years ago, that's crazy. But to get to know him and I just sat there and listened to him like, I know this guy, you know.
A true icon of the industry.
Yeah.
Well, his granddaughter is racing the Rebel Rally, right? In a Bronco.
Right, so October 7th to 16th, Shelby Hall is running with us again. She was victorious last year with Penny Dale in the Bronco Sport in the X-Cross class. This year she's driving a Bronco two-door in the 4x4 class, so we wish her and the rest of the squad, obviously, good luck from here. But we're looking to not only reclaim our win in the X-Cross class with Bronco Sport, but dominate with Bronco two-door or four-door and win it all. So we're not playing around.
Absolutely. I like that comment. It's great, Mike. From Rod Hall to Shelby Hall. Great generation. So Dave, what's the most important reason? What do these folks want to know from here?
You were one of like the speed round thing for me. I just come part of the word of evolution, and I mean everybody's touched it. Whether it's the CTO becoming the president, or education and growth, or the how technology's evolved. But all of that is at our fingertips right now, and it's a pretty exciting time.
So Gian, most important thing, why we're here today for ForFest.
I think there's a couple, but you know, one, I guess first and foremost, you know, of all the racing there is and all the different ways to get together in the world, off-roading brings a nice camaraderie. There's nothing like it. I mean, I love track events and all, but when you're off-road, the camaraderie is, you know, unbeat, right? You know, you got people who are just beginning, they want to be off-road, they want to learn things, and you've got, you know, so we have experts, and then we've got everyone who thinks they're an expert, but nonetheless, you know, it's engaging. You're out, you're doing something, and you know, it's trial and error, right? You don't know if you're going to make that hill or not, but you want to believe it, you want to try it, and you're always leaving something to be desired to go out again, and I love that about today. And I think, you know, with relative to where we are, it's great that, you know, there's no doubt the domestics do it best. This is something we own, from trucks to SUVs. There's no doubt we know how to do this better than anyone else in the world. And to have, again, a place like this to exhibit it here, just outside Detroit, and for everyone to come and not only see it, but also experience it themselves in their vehicles, it's truly special.
That is great. Dave.
I have your marketing slogan going forward, but it's true. The level, the caliber of people you find out there to here improves, right? Because just the camaraderie, right? The caliber of people that be up on top of that hill are a little different possibly than here. Good roads bring bad people, and bad roads bring good people. And you get to the people you meet in the middle of no place on a trail are awesome.
Excellent.
You very rarely find someone out there that you don't want to hang out with, because if they got that far, they've already passed all the other tests.
It's that mojo, that denominator that brings everyone together. You know, that talk about Shelby Hall and the Rebel Rally, is it Rachel Hunter?
Yeah. Oddly enough, I'm walking through the crowd, and up walks Rachel Hunter from the country station, WYCD, and she's a Jeep owner and off-roader. Rachel, what's up?
Well, I don't know how big of an off-roader I am, but I'm like a glamping off-roader. But I'm going to try it today for the first time ever. Actually, my Jeep is so new; it's never been through the car wash yet. But I think after today, it may go through the car wash. But I'm really excited to be here. I'm Rachel Hunter from the morning show, Josh, Rachel, and Grunwald on 99.5 Y City. We're Detroit's country station, and I'm really excited to be here today. And this is probably about my fourth or fifth Wrangler. I started, actually, this is a true story. Got into driving Wranglers when my daughter turned 16. And I was a worried mother, and with my daughter driving, and I was doing commercials, for Zot, love Zot, that we get all of our vehicles from Zot. My husband drives a Grand Cherokee, we're the rest of us Wranglers, but I was such a worried mother, and then I started looking at Wranglers and going, this is like a tank. And I feel pretty safe with my daughter driving a Wrangler. So I let her drive a Wrangler. And so she started driving in high school, went to college. She was at Vanderbilt University down in Tennessee. I went down to visit her for a week, driving her car, dropping her off at class. So I had a car to use while she was at class. I'm going, this is a pretty cool vehicle. And at the end of the week, I didn't want to give it back because it made driving fun. And at this point in my life, driving was so monotonous. And then going from point A to point B in a Wrangler just all of a sudden made it fun. It wasn't monotonous anymore. And so I just got a new one. I've got the electric vehicle that I can plug in, so I'm going to go see how rugged that is and show it's just as rugged as the other ones that aren't electric, which I love. It's a crossover. I can go 25 miles on electric, then it switches over to gas. I love it. It's never been washed, like I said, so his name is Sterling, and he's probably going to get washed today. So thank you so much for being here at Detroit Ford Fest. I'm honored to be here. It's my pleasure, and thank you very much. I'm going to be around, walking out and about, checking things out for the next couple hours, so I'd love to see you. Thank you.
Rachel, thank you very much. Glad to have you here. I think that the best thing that we could do at this moment is go get your vehicle completely covered in dirt. Let's go.
Yeah, go get dirty, Rachel.
Thank you very much.
I also want to thank this awesome panel of people. Dave, if you don't mind, I'm totally going to plagiarize that line too.
I already wrote it down.
So sweet. So when I see you at KOH this year, and I'm walking around and I'm using that line, you can gladly come up and go, wait, that's all mine.
3 cents every time.
Copy. I got it. You keep track and we're good. Gentlemen, thank you all so very much. It's great to have everybody here at Detroit Ford Fest, and thank you so much for all the support.